Welcome to our 5 on 5. I'm pleased to be joined today by Democratic candidate for Oregon's 4th U.S. House District, BOLI Commissioner Val Hoyle. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
So, as I mentioned, you're the head of BOLI. That's the Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries, a statewide agency. You're also a former Oregon state representative. And if I had to ask, what is the one thing you're most proud of in your political career?
There are a lot of things. I think at BOLI, it would be to come in and work in a bipartisan way and with business and labor to transform the agency to be one that is more customer service focused. And again, make sure that we have enough staff and we updated our internal processes. We've collected 3 times as many wage claims as any other commissioner, and we've expanded our small business support all the way through to Eastern Oregon for the first time in 20 years. I mean, there are a lot of things that I did in the legislature, as a voice for downstate. In the Democratic caucus, there's a lot of people from Portland, a lot of representatives. So I felt strongly that we needed leadership that were from outside the Portland area. So that was important, and we did a lot of great things. Personally, the most important thing that I did beyond passing paid sick leave, increasing the minimum wage, and working to address the climate crisis is passing a bill that allowed all first graders to be screened for visual processing disorders and dyslexia. I suffer from that learning disability, and it makes a big difference when you can identify a learning disorder early and get kids the help they need so that they can, have an easier time in school and be more successful. And that I'm incredibly proud of.
And I apologize, I should have said at the beginning of our introduction that you are trying to succeed Congressman Peter DeFazio, in Congress. Now, I understand both you and your opponent support a proposal to build a container port in Coos Bay to provide potentially thousands of permanent jobs. What other ways will you help create job opportunities in the 4th District?
So I don't think that the container port should be underestimated, because that would provide 9,000 permanent jobs between Coos, Douglas, and Lane County, plus the jobs to build it. So I have been working even before I was running for Congress in ensuring that we had the workforce through expanding apprenticeship programs throughout the state, but in this area, both for the trades, for early childhood education, for firefighters. So fundamentally, what I have focused on doing in the Bureau of Labor and Industries in the apprenticeship division is expanding our job training both inside the building and construction trades and outside for those 50% of jobs that need more than a high school degree and less than a college degree. We've been working with employers to get them their workforce needs and allow people to learn while they earn so that they're getting good paying jobs without a mountain of college debt. I'd love to take that to Congress so we can spread that model throughout the United States.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll have much more with Val Hoyle in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, I'm here with BOLI Commissioner and Democratic candidate for Oregon's 4th U.S. House District, Val Hoyle. I'm sure you've followed Congressman DeFazio's work, certainly in the past year or so since he announced he was retiring. What area or areas have you disagreed with him in his policies?
So I think, first of all, I've been working with Peter DeFazio not only when I was as labor commissioner, as a candidate, as labor commissioner, as a representative, and then before that as one of his constituents. Peter's a friend and a mentor. I think that we each have our different styles. I come in with not only legislative experience, he came from the county commission, but I've also run an agency, and I have 25 years of private sector experience in domestic and international trade and retail sales. So I do have that background. In terms of disagreeing, I can't think of anything offhand. There are times we've disagreed, but fundamentally we have the same values and we have the same priorities, which is that if you bring jobs and you invest in things that matter to working people, this district will do better. And one of the reasons that Peter strongly encouraged me to run was that he knows that I have values that match those of the district and would have the same type of priorities. Although, again, we're different people, so we'll manage it differently.
According to campaign finance records, you were a top recipient from several pharmaceutical giants while serving in the Oregon legislature. I understand this year you're not taking any money from them. Why did you make that change?
Well, fundamentally, in the legislature, I was the caucus leader and raising money for the caucus. I am not accepting donations from any fossil fuel companies or from pharma. What I saw over the last congressional session, where Democrats moved forward with the Inflation Reduction Act and worked to cap insulin at $35, every single Republican voted no. And pharmaceutical companies are doing whatever they can to make sure that they can make money off the backs of regular working people. And so I want everyone to be clear that I will that people know that I'll stand up to make sure that Oregonians can access affordable quality health care, whether that's in their prescriptions or in their primary care doctors or rural health care, like I've done for well before I was in elected office.
The Biden administration this fall announced plans to develop floating platforms off the Oregon coast that could create wind-generated electricity to power millions of homes. How do you feel about this plan?
So I want to make sure that we're moving to clean energy sources as soon as possible. And in theory, it's a good idea, but I have been in contact with the companies that put in the wind turbines and the fishing community. And fundamentally, it's a good idea. However, the federal government needs to understand that anything that's approved needs to be done in a way that does not negatively impact our fishing community and the rich fishing areas that we have off the Oregon coast. And that's just non-negotiable. So we should do it if there's a way to do it without impacting both our way of life and our ability to feed not just this country, but the world with these rich fishing areas. So I like it in theory, and the federal government really needs to come along to work with our communities here to make sure that, that our needs and wants are taken into account.
Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us today. We'll be right back.